came here with washed face, clearly crying. I have to tell this story. What happened today is that I booked myself a massage and I was so excited about it. My husband came home early from work for me to go, and when I got there I realized I was at the wrong day. Instead of driving home, I, for some reason, instinctively drove to my work. And then since I already drove here, because I wasn't paying attention, I decided to just come in. I walk in the studio and there is a huge wave of emotions that comes to me. In the rush of our routines, we don't have time to think, even to be grateful sometimes. And tonight, everything is really quiet. It's dark outside and there's no one here. This quietness, it just was a window of opportunity for this whole story that brought me here to come to surface. And I'll reawaken all those emotions, and especially my gratitude for my journey from when I first arrived in Australia in 2012. So my heart feels extremely grateful tonight. And I was just kind of counting my blessings, or just reflecting on situations of my life that I consider a miracle and feel like I need to share, because it might in some ways give hope to someone else. It might remind people that good things still happen. I came to Australia and I have only 4 months of visa, 3 months to study and 1 of holidays at that time. I have no idea what this is gonna be. I knew nothing about Brisbane. I just came with my mind and my heart open for the opportunity. I just came as if it was worth it to invest all that I could in that opportunity, experience how things work on the other side of the world, and what it would be like to be immersed in English. It's always been my dream to learn English. I was working as a physiotherapist in Brazil and doing my Pilates, and I was also singing with a band on the weekends. At some point I felt this intense call deep in my heart that it was time for me to create for myself a project that seemed really big and almost impossible. But I was in a moment in my life where my emotions reached a peak that served me as fuel to say, like, I'm doing this now. And I said, okay, in 1 year time, I'm gonna be in Australia. I arrived in Australia in September 2012, having absolutely no idea what this experience was going to mean in my life. And I was just very focused and very willing to give my best shot. Like, I didn't want to miss anything. I didn't have any time to lose. I didn't come to party. I didn't come to have a good time in terms of just to have fun. I was focused on really getting to learn English, focused on getting involved in the Australian life, to understand their culture, to try my best to get an opportunity in what I did in Brazil, as close to physiotherapy as possible, as close to music as possible. I applied for opportunities for Pilates instructors. My English was close to none. It was really, really basic. And I went to the interview with pretty much lines that I studied, and I memorized the basic of what I could say about what I did and what I wanted, and my situation in terms of visa, like all the necessary information. And I was really shocked when I got the opportunity to work. And the first Pilates class that I ever taught there, it was a really out of my comfort zone experience. I could only demonstrate exercise, and I was really, really nervous about how Australians were going to be understanding or not with my limited English, and if they would appreciate my class, if they would be open to where I was at in my life and in my journey to learning English. I was given this group of people that I was so nervous to meet. And they barely talked to me in the first class, not because they were being rude or anything, because they could see my limitations in English. So they would just speak to me the necessary amounts of English in respect to my limitations. They would come each week and teach me a new word. And I literally felt like I was learning way more English in the studio, teaching Pilates, than I was learning at English school. They became really close friends. They were so caring and so interested in how they could help. You know, I had a feeling that group of people was destined to welcome me to Australia, because it wasn't just random situations that made me feel welcome. I felt welcomed specifically, like, we're so glad you're here, we want to help you, we want to know how we can help, and we want to support you. Why would people that don't know you have that kind of willingness to support you? That made me so happy to actually see that this is still something that it still happens in the world. And I know it's not a lot, but it still does happen. So I felt adopted. I felt looked after. I felt like there was someone, or like there was people, like a group of people out there that was genuinely caring and cheering for me, for my story, for what I was doing, for what I was trying to do. And that alone was so encouraging. It was such an important part of my journey in Australia, because it gave me the certainty that I wanted to stay, and I had to stay a bit longer. 4 months would never be enough for me to learn English in the first place, but also to experience the whole culture. And I wanted more time, so I applied for a visa extension, and very thankfully I got it. I always loved English, but it wasn't not as near as easy as I thought it would be to learn it. And I feel like I'm still learning. I'm still making so many mistakes, but you know, the important thing is that I can now communicate. Just getting that first job in what I wanted, that was teaching Pilates. It's very close to my physiotherapy career. I just remember walking through the door of the studio and making a commitment to myself that I would walking through that door every day to work and to put my whole heart in what I was doing, as if that business was mine. I heard this many years ago. If it's from the Bible, whatever comes to your hand, I don't know how they say in English, but something like that, whatever it comes to your hands to be done, or whatever you have to do it with all of your heart. Not just part of it, not just halfway, not just the bare minimum. Do it fully. And that's the kind of commitment that I put to myself in the studios. Like, I will learn English. I'll teach the best classes. I'll enter this place and I will act and I will love this as if I was the owner of this business. I'll commit like that. So I got the opportunity to start increasing the number of classes. Little by little, I was taking a little bit more and a little bit more, like building my schedule. And I got the opportunity to be sponsored by the studio. 2 years working as a sponsored employee at that time would give me the right to get my permanent residency in Australia. And then another couple of years I could become a citizen. That was an incredible achievement. Like I dreamed it all, but I did not expect that it would happen the way it did and as quick as it did. And I just couldn't believe it, but I just kept going. Time goes on and the business went for sale. That meant I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with my sponsorship that was attached to the business at the point. Everything was uncertain, but I was always very trusting that, whatever was meant to be was going to be. And then everybody would say, no, you have to, like, the business has to be yours. It got to a point that I decided it was actually time for me to leave. I just let my clients know that I had to leave, and they immediately called me and go like, no, we need to sit together and figure this out. And again, I was overwhelmed by that support. In any other random situation, people come and go, and goodbyes are always hard, but they happen, and that's just life. But they called me as if like, no, this story's not done here. And there's 4 clients that were part of that first group that I ever taught in the studio. They just told me they were buying the business, but they didn't want it. They wanted to be mine. And so they went ahead and they went through the whole process that I would, as a Brazilian in Australia, have absolutely no idea even where to start. So they bought the business. One of the guys went through the entire legal parts of it. He did all the business side of everything. The time in the business, I had an ex-partner. We came together from Brazil, so all we had to do to these beautiful clients was to pay them back very gradually, and not even the full amount. And then as soon as we did, they passed on the business to our name. And that started a new journey of, okay, now I have so much more to learn, so much more to explore. And my heart remained the same, because I never intend to have the business when I put in my heart that I would work in the business as if I owned it. So my heart remained the same, but now I had all this new administrations and tax related and so many other things involved in the business that I had to learn. And it has been such an incredible journey. And we've been through so much since then. So 10 years ago, the business became officially mine with my ex-partner. But eventually we broke up. Not long after that, we broke up. And I got to buy his part. So it was officially all mine. Straight after COVID was an extremely unstable moment that I didn't think we would be able to survive. We went online for a moment, and the amount of support from the clients during that time, again, was overwhelming. And we were able to come back to studio, and then I thought that the whole process and all changes that has happened really inspired me to start a new chapter and choose a new name. And it has been such a fun time. I've learned so much, not only about business or not only about the Pilates business. I've learned so much about business in general and about life in general because of business. The story goes on and it continues to surprise me. So we had an event with the studio in 2019. We decided to have this group of people to go and join this marathon type of event called Bridge to Brisbane. And one of the couples that supported me from day one, they brought along their son. So he asked me for coffee. And in Australia, coffee is just coffee. It wasn't a date. It was just coffee. We went for coffee. And we talked for about 2 hours in that coffee kind of date. And we haven't stopped since. So again, I didn't know how much of that I could ever expect. But he's now my husband. And we have 2 beautiful children. So that means that one of the couples that supported me in my first few days in Australia and that was willing to pretty much give me a Pilates studio, eventually they became my in-laws and the grandparents of my kids. And that's extremely special to me. You know why? Because in my journey to trying to master the business side, I've changed so much. I became a mom twice. Last year I did downsize, so now this is our space. And within all these changes, at some point I had a few business coaching sessions. I remember saying to my business coach, I don't think I have mastered how to make my business as successful as it should be. And she looked at me and she told me, she said, Daniela, your business gave you meaningful relationships, including your beautiful family. Gosh, that was hard for me to swallow. Because it's so easy for us to think of business and of success as a numbers game. And it's not. It's all the meaning that we carry behind it. It's the real reason why we do what we do. And numbers, they will always fluctuate. I was focusing on everything that has set my business back, and that was hard for me to catch up because, something like COVID comes and it sets you back financially. And then you break up your relationship and you have to buy the other part of your business. It sets you back financially. And then life goes on and you have one of the most special moments in your life, that's having babies. And guess what? That sets you back financially. But if I think of what success is, I wouldn't change any of this for absolutely anything. The numbers in business will never define the level of success. The real success is what really, truly matter to us. It's the people that we have around. It's the fulfillment that we get from what we do. It's the marks that we leave in the world from offering what we offer. That realization that she brought to me it changed my perspective. It reminded me of how many blessings this place or this business has given me to guide me through staying in Australia, to give me the opportunity to stay in Australia, to become a citizen, to meet so many people that became so important in my journey, that became really good friends, and to meet the love of my life, and to have my two beautiful kids, and to look back to that story and wonder how much of that was a coincidence and how much of that was written in stars, serendipity, and what was really meant to be. I don't know, we never know. But I walked in tonight and I burst into tears because I needed this time to be grateful. I'm so excited to share that story with my clients when they come in and they want to know, how did you get here? How did you start a business? What's the story? And I'm so excited to tell them, but I've been holding it back to actually film it and share with whoever needs or will come across this story, because I feel there's so many different parts of the story that can inspire other people in many levels. If I can just list a few of them, the first would be, it is really, really, truly worth it to follow your heart, to give it your best shot, to just go for it. Because looking back, I never regretted doing this in coming to Australia. Second point is, good people do exist. They're everywhere, and you might be one of them. And I really wish we can normalize being good again. People can be given just because they feel like they want to help. Third point, I would say, so many changes happen. We might feel like we're failing in each phase of change, but the truth is we are always being redirected in some way. We are always growing in some way. After I became a mother and I had to downsize my business, I realized one thing: growth doesn't mean bigger. Growth doesn't mean numbers. Growth doesn't mean status. Growth is something that fits in your life. Growth is something that it's meaningful to you. Growth is something that makes you happy. Fifth point is, your business, your attempts in life can't always be measured by financial returns. It needs to be measured by meaningful connections. It needs to be measured by meaningful lessons. It needs to be measured by what it brings to your life that is actually worth keeping. What it gave you that maybe no money in the world could ever buy. It's friendships, it's experience, it's different opportunities, it's people. It's what you build beyond profit. And this business have given me hope in the world because of how I was accepted, supported by strangers. Strangers who becomes a different type of family. It has given me a whole new level of perspective about life and about business. This business have given me so many meaningful relationships, especially my beautiful family. It has given me a bit more resilience as well because of looking back at all the phases that we've been through and the amount of times that I could consider too hard. The reason it's because it wasn't about the business. It was about what the business held. So I felt like sharing that story and also being thankful again for everyone that's watching that has been part of this story. I'm overwhelmingly thankful